I get calls from people all the time, and this video is specifically for those people who are charged with their first DWI in New Jersey. A lot of the content might be applicable to other states, but this video is particularly for those of you who've been charged with a DWI in New Jersey. Most people ask, or what they're so worried about or concerned about is, am I going to jail? Very rarely does somebody go to jail, if at all, on a first DWI in New Jersey, even if they have a very, very high blood alcohol reading. Second biggest concern for everybody is, am I going to lose my driver's license? And again, I could say in most, if not all of the cases, you are not going to lose your driver's license. The majority, if not mostly every single DWI case for a first-time DWI offender in New Jersey ends with no jail, no loss of license. Your DWI case usually or always will start with the initial stop by the police. And why are you being stopped? And there's a whole host of reasons that police stop people for DWIs, some of which may have nothing to do with how you're driving. A lot of times the police may just be checking license plates, and if your plate comes up with no registration or it's registered to a driver who may have a suspended license, they may stop your car. They may stop your car if you're at a red light and you don't move fast enough. But most of the time there is some sort of an operation issue, such as you're not staying in your lane, you may be speeding, or any other minor traffic infraction allows the police to stop you. And a lot of times, the police are not even stopping you because they think you are drunk or driving while intoxicated. They stop you for another reason, but when they start talking to you, they will claim you had the odor of alcohol on your breath, you weren't speaking clearly, you couldn't find your license and registration, things like that. So a lot of times these situations escalate from a situation that was not going to be a DWI stop to something that does. So I'll go over briefly what happens and what the police normally do once they suspect you of having a DWI. They will ask you to do what's called field sobriety test. And those are a couple of tests. One of them is they may take a pen and they'll ask you to follow it with your eyes. Another test is they'll ask you to walk back and forth 9 steps and then turn around while touching your heel to your toe. And a third test they'll do is they'll ask you to stand on one leg for 30 seconds and count to 30 without losing your balance. And this is the first thing that police officers will do to determine whether they have probable cause to move to the next step, test your blood alcohol level. Understand, by failing those tests in and of itself allows the police or a local prosecutor to now bring a DWI case against you and potentially convict you of a DWI. So if you're now charged with a DWI, the odds are you have failed those field sobriety tests, you've been handcuffed, and now you've been brought back to a police station or state police barracks or the local town where you were arrested. And the next thing that's going to happen is the police are going to give you a blood alcohol test. They're going to ask you to blow into a machine, and the machine is testing what your blood alcohol content is at that particular time. And in New Jersey, if you blow over a 0.08, you are considered per se, absolutely under the law, drunk. So you will then usually get a reading from the operator of that breath machine, and they should hand you a paper afterwards that will either tell you if you're under a 0.08, above a 0.08, and then the next levels that we're concerned about are you over or under a 0.10, or are you over or under a 0.15? And when we get to the sentencing part of this video, you'll understand why those numbers are important. But again, this is for somebody this is their first DWI. And the penalties for a first DWI are a lot less severe than for second or third. In the future, I will make some videos for those who are having a second or a third DWI. So what will happen is you will be released to somebody. Somebody will have to come and get somebody from the police station, and then the court process will begin. You'll be handed a summons with a number of tickets. Most of the time, the police do not write just one ticket for a DWI. They'll usually throw in tickets for an unsafe lane change, careless driving, reckless driving, failing to observe a stop sign, whatever the infraction is that they originally stopped you for. And there's a number of reasons they do this, but in my experience, it's mostly because once the case goes through the court system and your lawyer now starts to try and plea bargain your DWI, well, you now have 6 or 7 tickets. The lawyer's job is to make sure that as many of those tickets are dismissed if you're going to have to either plead guilty or be found guilty at trial of a DWI. And DWIs in New Jersey are handled in the local municipal courts. And understand, a DWI in New Jersey is not a criminal offense. In other states like New York State, it actually is a criminal offense to be charged with a DWI. It's not a criminal case in New Jersey, and that's why when people are afraid they're going to jail, the first thing I will tell them, even on a phone call, you are not going to jail, and most likely you are not going to lose your license. You will be receiving a date in the local municipal court for your first appearance, and this is the time you should seek out and try and find a lawyer. A lot of municipal courts, in my experience, though, these cases get scheduled really quickly. Literally, you could be arrested on a Monday and they'll tell you to be in court on Friday. And again, people start panicking. Oh my God, I only have 4 days to find a lawyer. How am I going to do this? The local courts understand that this is happening. And what I advise people before they've even hired me, or if they're going to hire a lawyer, at your first court appearance, you must show up. And if you just tell the prosecutor there or the judge, I'm looking for a lawyer, 100 out of 100 times, they will say, okay, we will reschedule this in a few weeks. Please have your lawyer contact the court. And any experienced DWI lawyer in New Jersey will know exactly what they need to do once you've had your first court appearance without a lawyer. What will happen now when you see the lawyer? Say if you come to someone like me, we'll talk for a while, and I'm going to want to find out a lot of things about you. I'm going to want to find out your education level, what you do for a living, if you're taking any medication, how much you ate that night, how much you actually drank, how tall you are, how much you weigh. And I would then ask you the story of tell me what happened. And the reason the lawyer needs a lot of this background is the lawyer hopefully will be starting to think about the potential defenses that you would have to your case. But what will happen after you leave the lawyer's office, if you do hire the lawyer will then send a letter to the local court and they will say, my name is Steven Goldstein. I've been hired to represent Mr. Smith, and I'm going to be representing him in this DWI matter. What the lawyer will then do also is they will make what's called discovery requests. And what a discovery request is the lawyer will be asking for every single piece of paper that has been generated so far on your DWI case. And there's a lot of documents that are generated that will be shared with you. There'll be an arrest report. If there was an accident, there'll be a police report. If you did take the breath test, all the paperwork related to that machine will be exchanged with your lawyer, or the lawyer will ask for it, because again, that sets up the potential defenses. So a decent amount of paperwork will be generated that will be sent to your lawyer, and your lawyer should then send a copy to you and then set up a time to review it so you could then really talk about the defenses and what's going to happen as you go to future court appearances. Understand, in municipal court, in DWI cases in New Jersey, these cases are decided by a judge. Not decided by a jury. In New York State, they are. You get a jury trial. But because in New Jersey, you're not facing consequences like jail time, the New Jersey rules are that you only get a judge trial on a DWI. But 95 to 99% of DWI cases resolve with some sort of a plea bargain. And that's really where your lawyer takes the discovery and goes to the local prosecutor and starts presenting your defense. And this would be at the second court appearance. And they will go in, and we'll talk about now some of the potential defenses that your DWI lawyer will talk to the prosecutor about. So I've been doing this a long time. I'm also the volunteer public defender in my town for the last 10 years, so I've done hundreds of these cases. And what we're looking for as a defense lawyer is anything that we could do if we think there's a strong case that you failed the field sobriety tests to get these plea bargain down to the lowest level of DWI. But initially, when a lawyer is looking at completely defeating a case, usually the highest percentage way is to fight the initial stop in the first place. For instance, if the police really had no basis to pull you over, if the stop is bad, then the lawyer will look at why you were stopped in the first place and really explore the avenues of, did the police officer have the right to even stop you in the first place? You could then go through the story and say, well, even if the stop was okay, was there really any basis to pull the person out of the car? And that happens. Sometimes an officer may mistake somebody for being on drugs and they do not smell alcohol, but perhaps the person is on some sort of medication that may cause drowsiness. That's another video, being stopped if you're on drugs. The reason for letting the person out of the car, getting the person out of the car, is challenged. The lawyer could also challenge the way the field sobriety tests were done. Perhaps the instructions weren't given clearly. There may be video that your lawyer gets of the actual field sobriety test being performed, and your lawyer could say, hey, look at these field sobriety tests. I mean, they look like they're being done perfectly. A defendant may not understand the instructions. And in New Jersey, there's probably 100 languages spoken amongst the people who live here and get stopped here for DWIs. Perhaps the person is an immigrant who doesn't speak the language. They may speak Spanish, Korean, Arabic, a number of languages, and there is no police officer around who could speak that language to give the instructions. And I've had cases dismissed where I was able to prove that the person, my client, did not understand the instructions on how to perform these tests. Other defenses that would be looked at is perhaps the operator of the machine wasn't qualified, or the machine itself was not operating properly. And there's hosts of other defenses, but I just want to give you the point that this is really what your lawyer is being hired for. Your lawyer is looking for any possible defense for which they could go in and tell the prosecutor, hey, you're not going to be able to prove the case at all beyond a reasonable doubt, or you're not going to be able to prove the reading beyond a reasonable doubt. After that first court appearance, your lawyer will talk to you, and for brevity on this video, will say that the lawyer believes that the stop was good, the field sobriety tests that they gave were good, but we want to fight to make sure that the reading is kept out. And that's really important in New Jersey, because if you are pleading guilty to a DWI in New Jersey just based on observation, the penalties are pretty low. The penalty is you would have to put an interlock device in your car for 3 months. You would have to attend some classes and pay some fines. But as I said at the opening of the video, there's no jail time and there's no loss of license. You absolutely continue to drive. The only caveat is you would then have to go to the motor vehicles, get a license that says you're on the interlock. Once you get that license, you could start driving again. I'm not going to talk about trials. That would be for another video. For this video, we're going to assume that you're going to have to take a guilty plea. And we just talked about a .08. What about if you blew a .10? Well, that's where the lawyer tries to get that reading thrown out. And if the reading gets thrown out, you would be sentenced as if there was no reading. The penalties for a .10 are, again, no jail time, 6 months of the interlock, and some fines and going to class. But even if you blow a .10 up to a .14, you do not have loss of license or jail time. The third tier that you could be charged with is a .15 and above. And this does lead to more enhanced penalties and could include a loss of license if there's an accident. However, my experience is most prosecutors will at least allow you to plea bargain down one tier. And what that means is even if you have blown a very high number, say a .20, which is almost 3 times the legal limit. If everything else is okay in the sense of there was no accident, you were cooperative with the police, your driving abstract is clean except for this arrest or some minor infractions, most prosecutors will allow you to plea down one tier, which again would mean no loss of license. However, the penalties for a .15 or above are a loss of license and other penalties at sentencing. And if you do take a plea bargain, you will be sentenced right then and there. So a lot of times, if somebody is going to take a plea, they might learn about it on the second court appearance, and the case will then be put over to the third court appearance. So somebody who's charged with the first DWI can then prepare themselves. And preparing themselves means you could put the interlock on earlier and get credit for that. You could make sure that you're all lined up to go to the DMV. You could make an appointment for the DMV for the next day. And this way, on your third court appearance, if you're going to have to take a guilty plea on the DWI, you will be prepared. You'll have the interlock in your car. You'll be able to go to the DMV rather quickly, get your license, and you will be able to move on with your life. Now, a lot of people have these concerns with DWI convictions. A, will it affect my job? So in New Jersey, if somebody does a criminal background check on you, a DWI charge will not show up. What would show up is a criminal charge. This is being shot in 2025. Issues that do come up are immigration issues. And it has been my experience I have never had, for a first-time DWI, where it becomes an immigration issue. As we speak, there are rumblings in Congress to make any DWI a deportable offense, but right now it's not there. And it's a real issue for people. So what I do and what most judges insist upon, if somebody has a DWI and they are not here legally, I would have you consult with an immigration lawyer. And an immigration lawyer would be able to give you information about whether a DWI could be deportable in your case. However, unless you drive and have a commercial driver's license, which would be in another video, I would discuss what happens for the penalties there, because they're different than if it's just a regular driver's license. It should not affect your job at all, because you will be able to drive, you'll be able to get to work, and there's no criminal charges or any criminal record often. I hope this video helps you feel a lot better. A DWI is a very serious charge. However, if it's the first one you've had, the penalties seem severe, but compared to what they used to be, they're not very severe. You are not going to go to jail, and most likely you are not going to lose your driver's license. I usually describe it as just a very bumpy road that you will get past, and you'll get to your final destination, and you will be able to live your life, keep your job, not worry about going to jail. At most, it's going to cost you money for the interlock and the money for the fines. If you have any other questions, if you've been arrested for a DWI, if you just want further information, you can give me a call. My phone number is on the screen, 973-912-0555. You can go to my website, www.ghlawnyNJ.com. You could post a question there. You could forward an email to me, steveng@ghlawnyNJ.com, and I would be happy to just answer any questions you have. If you're facing a first-time charge of a DWI, and if watching this video didn't make you feel better, you could talk to me live, and hopefully I'll be able to make you feel better. Thanks.